Hey guys, welcome to my channel where we're going to go over another paper in this series. It's the same difficulty, same topic, but it's just another question paper 3. So let's begin the paper. Okay, so the first question is part A, Ali and Ben receive a sum of money. They share it in the ratio 5:1. Ali receives $2,345. Calculate the total amount. So what we want to do first is add the ratios together to find the total sample size. So we're going to do is 5 plus 1. We're going to get 6. Now, Ali's share is 5/6. Now the total amount is 5/6 of something is 2,345. So we're going to take 5/6 multiplied by x stands for unknown value, is equal to 2,345. So what I do is I multiply 6/5 on both sides to get rid of the fraction. It's basically removing the fraction so that I can isolate x. So 2,345 multiplied by 6/5 is $2,814. Part B. Ali uses 11% of his 2,345 to buy a television. Calculate the cost of a television. Notice the keyword off. Off means multiplication. So we just take 11/100 multiplied by the value 2,345. Input this in your calculator, or you could write it as 0.11 times 2345. This will give you an answer of $257.95. A different television costs $330. Ben buys one in a sale when this cost is reduced by 15%. How much does Ben pay? So if the original cost is 100% and that is equal to $330, what is 100 minus 15%? So what is 85% of the cost? So we're going to cross multiply. So 330 multiplied by 85 over 100. Let's repeat this. So when what I mean to do is, if 100% of the price is $330, what's 100 subtract 15% of the price? So what's 85% of the price? So I'm going to cross multiply. So 330 times 85. Get your answer, divide the answer by 100. The answer is $280.50. Roman 2. $330 is 12% less than the cost last year. Calculate the cost last year. So we use the same thing, but except that we're going to do 100 minus 12% because this is 12% less. So $330 is 12% less than the actual cost. So 100 minus 12 is 88%. So 88% of the original cost. So 88% of the cost last year is $330. So what's the 100% of the cost? So we're going to cross multiply again here. So 100 times 330 over 88 should get $375. This is the cost of the television set last year. Okay, I notice the scan has come out a bit funky in this side. I apologize for that. Part D. Ali invests $1,500 of his share into a bank account. The account pays compound interest at the rate of 2.3% per year. Calculate the total amount in the account at the end of 3 years. One thing we must note about the compound interest formula is that it gives you the combined answer. Basically, it takes the principal combined with the interest rate and spits out the answer. So what we're going to do is we're first going to write down the formula of compound interest, which is P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 close bracket power time. P is principal, R is rate, T is time. So we're just going to substitute the values. So P is 1,500. So 1,500 open bracket 1 plus rate is 2.3. So 2.3 over 100 close bracket cube. So the first thing we know is that we must solve what's in the bracket. That's according to BODMAS, bracket open. So 1 plus 2.3 over 100 is basically 1 plus 0.023. So we're going to add those together. You should get 1.023. Take that and cube it. So basically what's going to happen is 1,500 times 1.023 cube. Put this in your calculator and you should get the amount is $1,605.9. Part E. Ali also buys a computer for $325. He later sells this computer for $250. Calculate Ali's percentage loss. So how do we calculate percentage loss? Basically, we're going to take the new price, as in the selling price, subtract the buying price over the buying price, multiplied by 100. Let's go through it again, sorry. So we're going to take the selling price minus the buying price over the buying price times 100. The reason we divide by a buying price is we want to know the percentage of money he lost over the buying price. So the selling price is 250 and the buying price is 325. So we're going to take $250 minus $325 over $325 times 100. 250 minus 325 is negative $75 over $325. Multiply this by 100 and you should get the percentage is negative 23.1%. That means he made a loss of 23.1%. Okay. Anna, Bobby, and Carl receive a sum of money. They shared in the ratio 12 to 7 to 8. Anna receives $504. Calculate the total amount. Oh, before we do this question, I would just like to ask all of you to please hit that like button and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. To subscribe is absolutely free and you can cancel it at any time. So I urge you to do so because it greatly supports this channel. So let's move back into the solving this question. So calculate the total amounts. The first thing we want to do is add all of these ratios. So we're going to find the total sample size. So we're going to take 12 plus 7 plus 8. So that's basically 12 plus 15 and that is 27. So now that we know the sample size, we want to know now the total amount. So the way we find the total amount is exactly how we did it in the first question. So we're going to take Anna's sample size, so 12 over 27. This is a fraction of the original amount. So this multiplied by the original amount should give you $504. So what you want to do is multiply by 27 over 12 both sides to isolate x and to remove the fraction, because if you notice 12 and 12 cut, 27 cut. So x is basically equal to 504 multiplied by 27 over 12. So you should do this in your calculator and you should get an answer of $1,134. That's the total amount of money that they share in the ratio. Part B, Roman 1. Anna uses 7% of her $504 to pay a bill. How much money does she have left? Basically calculate. So what we want to do is we want to take 100% of the money, subtract 7% of the money. So basically 100 minus 7. So what's left with her is 93% of the money. So notice I use the word off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 93 over 100 multiplied by 504. You're going to get $468.72. Another way you could solve this was find 7% of $504. That answer you get, take 500, subtract the answer you get. That's going to be the same amount if you did it correctly. Roman 2. She buys a coat in a sale for $64.68. This was 23% less than the original price. Calculate the original price of the coat. So if this is 23% less than the original price, so that's basically 100% minus 23%. So basically 77% of the original price is $64.68. So if this is 77% is $64.68, what's 100% of the price? So we cross multiply. So 100 times 64.68 over 77. You should get $84. This is the original price of the coat. Part C. Bobby uses $250 of his share to open a bank account. This account pays compound interest at a rate of 1.6% per year. Calculate the amount in the bank after 3 years. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So what you want to do first is configure your calculator. If you're using an 82MS, you want to keep on pressing the mode button until you reach a screen that says fix, psi, and another thing, and norm if I'm not mistaken. Hit the fix button and configure it to 2. Just press the number 2 once you hit the fix button. This will automatically round your answer to 2 decimal places. So now let's rewrite the formula for compound interest. So P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 close bracket power time. So the principal is 250. Open bracket 1 plus 1.6 over 100 close bracket cube. So we want to solve what's in the bracket first. So 1 plus 1.6 over 100 is basically 1.016. So it's when you evaluate this equation further, it should give you 250 times 1.016 cube. Put this in your calculator and you should get the final amount to be $262.19, correct to the nearest 2 decimal places. Part D. Carl buys a computer for $288 and sells it for $324. Calculate his percentage profit. So what we want to do is we're going to use the same formula. So we're going to take selling price minus buying price over buying price times 100. So what's the selling price? 324. So 324 subtract buying price, which is 288, over buying price, which is also 288, times 100. The reason we multiply by 100 is because we want to get the answer in percentage. So 324 minus 288 is 36. So 36 over 288 times 100 is equal to 12.5. The reason there's no dollar sign at the end of the answer is because if you notice, it's dollar divided by dollar. So the dollars get cancelled out and it's just 36 over 288 times 100. And if you multiply anything by 100, it's basically a percentage. So your answer should be 12.5%. Okay, now we come to a question of sets and set notation. So here we have the universal set that has elements 1, 2, up to 9. Now we have set E that says whatever parts of it is an even number. Set F is basically 2, 5, and 7. We have set G, which is basically a quadratic equation, and says the value of x is hidden in this thing. So x squared minus 13x plus 36. So the two solutions of this quadratic are part of set G. So first question, as in part A, list the elements of set E. So what are the even numbers from this set? 2 is an even number, 4, 6, and 8. So basically E is equal to, write your curly brackets, because without the curly brackets it's not a set. And so you'd lose your mark since it's a 1 mark question. So using your curly brackets, you write 2, 4, 6, 8 within your curly brackets, and that's the elements of set E. Write down the number of elements. N stands for number of elements of set F. So how many elements are in set F? 1 element, 2 element, 3 elements. There are 3 elements in set F. You just gotta count the number of stuff inside the curly brackets. Okay, part C, Roman 1. Factorize x squared minus 13x plus 36. So basically this is a quadratic equation kind of thing, quadratic expression, sorry, and we're going to try and factorize it. So factorization, basically use the method, called product and sum. So what is a product and what is the sum here? So there are two numbers. When you multiply them together, should give you 36. Why 36 and why not any other number? Because these two numbers are basically equal to the first coefficient, which is 1 here, multiplied by the third coefficient, which is 36. So basically value of A multiplied by value of C. That is what these two numbers when multiplied together are equal to. And when these two numbers are added together, they make negative 13, the value of B. So now what we want to know is what are these two numbers. So my trick whenever I'm doing such questions is to quickly list down the factors of 36. So the factors of 36 are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, blah blah blah. So basically now we know that 9 and 4 multiplied with 36. Now among this set of factors, which one adds to 13? 1 and 36 don't add to 13. 2 and 18 don't add to negative 13. So what does add to negative 13? If we list them all out, you'd see that 4 and 9 are the answers. So because 4 times 9 is 36 and 4 plus 9 is 13. But mind you, it is negative. So what would the answer be now? So if you remember, negative times negative is a positive. So negative 9 times negative 4 is positive 36. And negative add negative is negative. So negative 9 plus negative 4 is negative 13. So now we found those two numbers. Just open the brackets, do x minus 9 close bracket, x minus 4 close bracket. You don't need to do any more. Or what you could do is you could do x squared minus 9x minus 4x plus 36 and factor each out individually. But what I like to do to save time, especially when it's such a low mark question, is to quickly take these numbers and put them in the bracket with the x. Because there's only one coefficient of x, the coefficient of x is 1. You don't need to worry about any 2 or any 3. So you're just going to put x and x here and minus 9 and minus 4. And that's your factorized version of x squared minus 13x plus 36. So Roman 2. Using your answer to part C, Roman 1, solve x squared minus 13x plus 36 equals to 0 to find the two elements of G. So look. So now that we take this x minus 9 and x minus 4 and we equal it to 0. So what we do is we treat these two as separate equations. So x minus 9 is equal to 0 as a separate equation and x minus 4 is 0 as a separate equation. So solve x minus 9 is 0. Basically bring a 9 to the other side and you should get that x is 9. And for x minus 4, 4 to the other side and you'd get is x is also 4. So the elements of G are 4 and 9. So we're going to write it in this format. So G is equal to curly bracket open 4 comma 9 close curly bracket. I hope you understood this. If you didn't, please rewind, because this whole question is quite a chunk of the marks and it's quite important that you understand this. Write all the elements, sorry, part D, write all the elements of universal in their correct place in the Venn diagram. So basically we're gonna need to evaluate these sets and place them in the correct area. So let's go back up here where I've written the sets. So 2, the number 2, the element 2 more precisely, is shared between sets E and F and not G. So 2 goes in this intersection, not T. Now let's see another number. 4, is 4 shared with any set? Yes, E and G share 4, so 4 goes in the intersection between E and G, so that's here. Let's go back up. 6, is 6 shared with anything? No, 6 is only in E, so it goes here. What about 8? 8 is also only in E, and so it goes here alone. 6 and 8 stay inside the circle E and are not part of any intersections. So now let's go to another set. 2, 5 and 7. For F, is 5 and 7 shared among any of the sets? It's not shared with G or E, so 5 and 7 fall into the circle F alone, not in any of the intersections. What about circle G? Is 9 shared among all of them? No, 9 is not shared among any of them and is only part of set G, so it falls in the circle of G, not in any of these intersections. Now let's go back and recheck what numbers haven't been used. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 and 9 have been used. 1 and 3 haven't been used. Let's repeat that. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 and 9 have been used. Yeah, basically 2, 4 up until 9 have been used. The only thing that are not being used are 1 and 3. So we're going to place 1 and 3 inside the rectangular box and not in any of these circles to denote that they're not part of any set and they're part of the universal set and do not belong in any of these circles. Okay, part E. Use set notation to complete the following statements. So F intersection G. F intersection G meaning this circle over here. What's shared between F and G? There's nothing shared. So what you could do is you could write this symbol, which is like a circle and a cross through it. This is basically it's called phi and it's used to denote a void or null set. Or you could use 2 curly brackets with nothing in them. Now 7-E. Now let's see, 7 is nowhere near E. It's not shared, it's not a member of E. So we're going to write this kind of a 3-pronged E, looks like a funny E. We're going to put a line through the E. This basically says that 7 is not an element of E. Now, number of elements of open bracket E dash F is 6. So basically, when you intersect E and F, are there 6 elements? No. What about if you unify E and F? How many elements are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we put the union symbol there, and it solves the statement. Let's move to the next question, because I don't even know the question number because, well, my scanner decided not to put it, decided to cut it out, and it thought it was useless information. Unfortunate. Okay, so in a sale, Jen buys a laptop for $351.55. This price is 21% less than the price before the sale. Calculate the price before the sale. So we go back to the same concept over and over. So 100 minus 21% is equal to $351.55. What I mean by this is this price is 79% of the actual price. So what is 100% of the price? The reason you use this kind of a method is because they're in the same ratio. That's why we can use the equals. So 100 times 351.55 over 79. So that's basically 35,155 divided by 79, and that's equal to $445. This is the price before the sale. Part B. Alex invests $4,000 at a rate of 8% per year simple interest for 2 years. Bob invests $4,000 at a rate of 7.5% per year compound interest for 2 years. Who receives more interest and by how much? So basically, we're going to start with Bob. I don't know, I just prefer to start with the compound interest one. Or we could start with Alex. So basically in Alex, we're going to first we're going to write the simple interest formula. Note this, the simple interest formula does not spit out the total value, does not give you the total amount in the bank account. What the simple interest formula, it just tells you the amount of interest he received. So for Alex, it is amount is equal to principal times rate times time over 100. The principal is 4,000 and the rate is 8 and the time is 2. So 4,000 times 8 times 2 over 100. So basically 40 times 8 times 2 and 160. Wait, what? Yeah. So basically 40 times 8 times 2, so 40 times 16, and that is $640. It was so sorry, that was 320 times. So $640. That's the amount of interest. Now let's go to Bob. The compound interest formula, on the other hand, combines the interest with the principal amount. So what we do to remove this and to only get the interest, we subtract the principal amount from the formula. So the formula now is going to be principal, open bracket, 1 plus rate over 100, close bracket. Power time, subtract principal. So let's kind of now put all the values in its correct place. So we're going to solve the compound interest part first. So 4,000, the principal, open bracket, 1 plus rate, which is 7.5 over 100, close bracket, squared. Solve this operation first and subtract 4,000 once you get this final answer. So this, when you evaluate it, is just 4,000 times 1.075 squared. Solving this gives me $4,622.5, and I must subtract 4,000 from it. So the interest received is $622.50 basically. Now the question goes on to say who receives more interest and by how much. Based on this data, we can say that Alex obviously receives more interest. By how much? Basically they ask you to find the difference between the two interests. So 640 minus 622.5 is $17.5. So Alex receives more interest and the difference is $17.50. Let's move. Children go to camp on holiday. Fatima buys bananas and apples for the camp. Bananas cost $0.85 per kilogram. Fatima buys 20 kg of bananas and receives a discount of 14%. How much does she spend on bananas? So what we want to do is find the actual price the person would have to pay first. So how do we find this actual price? We're going to assume there was no discount first. So we're going to take per kilogram price multiplied by the the weight or the number of kilos. So 0.85 times 20. That is $17. So that is the original price she would have paid without the discount. Now let's factor in the discount. So the $17 is 100% of the price. The discount meaning you got to remove 14% of that price. So it's basically 100 minus 14. So basically what the question says is, what is 86% of this price? Or what is 86% of 17? So there is 86 times 17 over 100. So she actually spends $14.62 on the bananas. Let's repeat this. So bananas cost $0.85 per kilogram. Fatima buys 20 kilograms of bananas and receives a discount of 14%. How much does she spend on bananas? So what we want to do first and foremost is find the actual price the person would have to pay, assuming there was no discount. So assuming there was no discount, we're going to take 0.85 multiplied by 20. We're going to get $17. This is the price she would have to pay had there been no discount. So this is basically the original price, the 100% of the price. So what is 14% less of the price? So basically what I mean is, what's the price when you subtract 14% from it? So 100 minus 14 is 86. So what's 86% of this price? So basically you're going to do 86 times 17 over 100. This happens as a result of cross multiplication. 86 times 17 times over 100, not times. So 86 times 17 over 100 is $14.62. This is the amount Fatima spends on bananas. Let's go to Roman 2. Fatima spends $16.40 on apples after a discount of 18%. Calculate the original price of the apples. So what we want to do is we're going to find the percentage of the price 16.40 is. So the percentage of the price is 100 minus 18. So what I mean is, what is the percentage of the price she paid for? What's this value in terms of percentage of the actual thing? So basically 100 minus 18 is 82%. So this 16.40 is 82% of the original price. Sounds a bit more clearer now? I hope so. So what's 100% now? What's the actual price? If this is 82% of the original price, what's 100% of the original price? So what we're going to do is we're going to take 100 multiplied by 16.40 over 82, cross multiplication all over. So basically that's 1640 divided by 82, and the original price of the apples is basically $20. Okay, so Roman 3 or part 3. The ratio in number of bananas to number of apples is 4:5. There are 108 bananas. Calculate the number of apples. So the first thing we want to do is find the number of fruit in total. What was the total number of bananas and apples? Okay, so how are we going to do this? So the first thing we want to do is add the ratios. So 4 plus 5, adding this, so we get the total sample size. This is 9. This is the total. So 4 over 9 of this amount, of an unknown amount, is 108 bananas. So we're going to take 4 over 9 multiplied by x is 108. So what we want to do is we want to we want to reciprocate on both sides. So we're going to multiply both sides by 9 over 4. The reason we want to multiply it by 9 over 4 on both sides is so that we can isolate x. Remember, whenever you're solving an algebraic equation, your main goal should be to isolate x. You need x to have a coefficient of 1 when you solve the equation. So basically x is equal to 108 multiplied by 9 over 4. Doing this is basically 243. So the total number of apples and bananas is 243. So if I take number of apples, which I don't know, plus the number of bananas, which are 108, so number of apples plus 108, it should be 243. So bring 208 on this side because I need to collect like terms. So number of apples is 243 minus 108. So the number of apples is 135. This is the number of apples basically now. Part B. The cost to hire a tent consists of two parts. C dollars plus D dollars per day. The cost for 4 days is $27.10 and for 7 days is $34.30. Write down the two equations in C and D and solve them. So what we want to do is C remains constant throughout. It is not touched. So C plus dollars per day. So per meaning multiplied by number of days. So 4 multiplied by D is equal to, so $27.10. Well, how did this come about? So basically we want to know is C is constant, 4 multiplied by number of days, because look at the D per day, per stands for multiplication, and adding this C plus 4D is equal to $27.10 because that's the total cost. This formula represents total cost of the stay basically. Now we do the same thing for the 7 days, except wherever there now it's C plus 7D and the total changes, which is now $34.30. So now we have a simultaneous equation to solve here. So the easiest way I would recommend to solve this is to use elimination, because there's C and C here and they both have a coefficient of 1, and since they're both positive, we're going to put a minus sign there. So C minus C, 0, that dies. Now what's about 4D minus 7D? That's negative 3D, so minus 3D. What about 27.10 minus 34.30? I did this in my calculator and I got an answer of negative 7.2. Now again, we want to isolate D here. So what we want to do is we want to divide both sides by negative 3. Dividing both sides by negative 3 would leave D with a coefficient of 1. That would mean we solve our equation. So negative 7.2 over negative 3 gives you a positive answer of $2.40. So that's the value of D here. That's the value of D. D is constant as well. So basically what this means is basically D constant value multiplied by number of days. So now what would we do now to find C? So we just take one of these random equations we created here. So we're going to take C plus 4D because it's the simplest one and the less complicated one. So C plus 4D is equal to 27.10. Now wherever we see D in this equation, we're going to substitute the value of D there. So we see D multiplied by 4. So C plus 4 times 2.4 is equal to 27.1. So 4 times 2.4 is 9.6. So C plus 9.6 is 27.1. So we collect like terms. C is equal to 27.1 minus 9.6. So C is $17.50. So that's the constant value of C. Make sure you understand this question very well, because this is for a 4-mark question, quite a lot. So let's go to part C. The children traveled 270 kilometers to the camp, leaving at 7:43 and arriving at 15:13. Calculate their average speed in kilometer per hour. So what's the first thing we want to do when we want to calculate speed? We need distance and we need time. We haven't been given the exact time. We're told to find time indirectly. So what's the amount of time they spent to get to the camp? So we're going to take their final time, basically their arrival time, subtract their departure time. So basically the time they arrive over the time they set out. Subtract this time they set out for. So basically 15:13 subtract 7:43. But there's a slight problem. We cannot take 13 minus 43. So what do? We cut 1 from the hour side. So that means 4, cut 1 hour. And when we bring it to the minute side, converting hours to minutes. So basically we have to add 60 minutes to this top part. So basically this is now equal to 1473 minus 743. So 14 minus 7 is 7. 73 minus 43 is 30. So the amount of time they took is 7:30, which is 7.5 hours. And the distance is 270 kilometers. So we're going to write down the speed formula, distance over time. We're going to take 270 divided by 7.5. And the speed is 36 kilometers per hour. Part D. 2 years ago, $540 was put in a savings account to pay for the holiday. The account paid compound interest rate at the account paid compound interest at a rate of 6% per year. How much is in the account now? So we're going to write down basically the compound interest formula, and we're just going to substitute the values in and solve it. So P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 close bracket power time. So 540 bracket 1 plus 6 over 100 close bracket squared. So squared basically means the time, because it's for 2 years. See, 2 years ago they have not really made it obvious. So 540 we're going to solve what's in the bracket first. So 540 multiplied by 1 plus 6 over 100, 1.06. So this amount squared. So 540 times 1.06 squared. Put this in your calculator, and your calculator should return you a value of $606.744. The reason I don't put this into any simpler form, like I don't put it to 2 decimal places, because they ask for how much is in the account now. They want the exact amount. They have not mentioned it directly. Had they want the amount to 2 decimal places, they would have clearly specified it. Since they did not specify anything, I would list the exact amount in the account at the moment. Okay, so now we're going to part A of an unknown question. So Roman 1 over 0.2 squared. So what is 0.2 squared? Is not 0.2 times 2, as some people make the mistake. 0.2 squared is 1 over 0.2 times 0.2. This is equal to 1 over 0.04. Now you could directly put this in your calculator and you'd get 25 as your answer, or say you didn't have a calculator. Say this is a question in your no calculator exam. So what you want to do is eliminate this decimal point. How would you eliminate it? Multiply 100 top and bottom. Multiplying 100 top and bottom would eliminate the decimal points. So that is equal to 100 over 4, and that's also 25. Roman 2. Under root 5.1 squared plus 4 times 7.3 squared. Now this is a question where you really need to keep in mind the rules of BODMAS. So first what we want to do is square everything. Finish whatever there is to square. So 5.1 squared is 26.01 plus 4 times 7.3 squared, 53.29. So according to BODMAS, we need to multiply then add. So 4 times 53.29 is 213.16. Now we can add. So adding these two would give us 239.17. Underroot it, and the value approximately to 3 significant figures is 15.5. Roman 3. 25 power half times 1000 power negative 2 over 3. So whenever you see power half, that means under root. So 25 power half is under root 25. Now what does this negative mean? So we're going to ignore that for now. So basically this over 3 means cube rooted. So open bracket, cube root 1000 and power it by negative 2. So under root 25 is 5 and multiplied by 10 power negative 2. So whenever you see a negative index, what you want to know is negative index basically means it's basically quite complicated. So how would you want to turn this into a positive index? So we're gonna reciprocate it. We're gonna take 1 over 10. As soon as we write 1 over 10, this index becomes positive. So this becomes 5 times 1 over 10 squared. So square 1 over 10. So 1 squared is 1, 10 squared is 100. So basically 5 times 1 over 100, that's 5 over 100. And simplifying it, you get 1 over 20 or 0.05. Part B. Mia invests $7,500 at 3.5% simple interest. Calculate the total amount she has after 5 years. So we want to know the total amount, and in simple interest they don't add it for you. You got to add the principal. They just tell you the value of interest you receive. That's why you can see that I've added P over there. So PRT over 100 plus P is our formula. P for principal, R for rate, and T for time. So the amount is 7,500 multiplied by 3.5 the rate multiplied by 5 time over 100 plus the principal 7,500. Let's solve this first. The interest received is 1,312.5. Take that, add it to the principal, and we should get $8,812.50. That's the total amount she has after 5 years. Okay, part C. Written as the product of prime factors, 48 is 2 power 4 times 3. Roman 1. Write 60 as the product of prime factors. So first what we want to do is find any two numbers that multiply to 60. So basically 3 times 20. Now 3 times 20 is also the same as saying 3 times 4 times 5. Notice 3 and 5 are prime numbers. Now how can 4 be expressed as prime numbers? 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 is a prime number. So this 3 times 4 times 5 is basically the same as saying 3 times 2 squared times 5. So 60 is basically equal to 2 squared times 3 times 5 as the product of prime factors. Now work out the highest common factor of 48 and 60. How do you work out the highest common factor? Basically you want to know the factor that is the highest, basically the greatest factor that is in both. So you could either use the listing method or do this. So what I did was I took a big step and I divided by 12, since both numbers can be divided by 12. So upon dividing by 12, I received 4 and 5 on the bottom. So when I go 4 and 5, these two numbers aren't the same and do not have any common multiple. Do not have any common factor. So therefore 12 is the greatest factor. Another way you could do this is by listing down all the factors of 48 and 60 and finding the greatest common factor. As in, like, you quickly go through the factors and the greatest one that is found in both is your answer. Now Roman 3, work out the lowest common multiple of 48 and 60. So basically instead of stopping at 4 and 5 because they're no longer the same, you're going to remove the 4. So basically divide by 4 here would mean 1 and 5, and then divide by 5 is basically 1 and 5. So basically it would remain 1. So basically you're just going to take 12 times 4 times 5. So the LCM is basically 12 times 20, which is 240. Yeah, this is the last question. Lucy works in a clothes shop. Basic question 7. Part A. In 1 week, she earned $277.20. She spent 1/8 of this on food. Calculate how much she spent on food. Multiply. So just take 1 over 8 multiplied by 277.2. You should get $34.65. That's the amount Lucy spent on food. Roman 2. She paid 15% of their $277.20 in taxes. Again, just take 15 over 100 multiplied by 277.2. Doing this should get $41.58. That's the amount she paid in taxes. The $277.20 was 5% more than Lucy earned in the previous week. Calculate how much Lucy earned in the previous week. So basically 5% more meaning 100 plus 5%. So basically 105% of an amount is 277.2. What is the 100% of the amount? So cross multiply. So 100 times 277.20 over 105. This is basically 27,720 over 105, which is equal to $264. Part B. The shop sells clothes for men, women, and children. Roman 1. In 1 day, Lucy sold clothes with a total value of $2,200 in the ratio men to women to children, 2:5:4. Calculate the value of women's clothes she sold. So what we want to do is we want to add all of this, all of the ratios, so basically 2 plus 5 plus 4, we get the total amount of clothes can be expressed as a fraction of 11, and that is over 11 basically. Now, what is the women's fraction of this? So the women's fraction is 5 over 11. So we're going to just take 5 over 11 multiplied by 2,200, and that should be $1,000. That's the amount, sorry, that's the value of the women clothes sold. Roman 2 and the last part. The $2,200 was 44 over 73 of the total value of the clothes sold in the shop on this day. Calculate the total value of the clothes sold in the shop calculate the total value of the clothes sold in the shop on this day. Tongue slip, my guy. So what we want to do, what this basically, upon understanding this question, when you read it, is basically this amount, this 2,200 is 44 over 73 multiplied by a number. So 2,200 is the fraction, is this fraction of a number. So what we want to do is we're going to take 44 over 73, multiply an unknown number represented by x is equal to 2,200. We're going to isolate x and basically multiply by 73 over 44 on both sides, and we're going to get x is equal to $3,650. That's the end of the video, guys. If you enjoyed this, please smash that like button, comment and subscribe. It's absolutely free and really helps out a lot. See you guys next time.